as far as in Mumbai, if you're driving, outside Mumbai, well, it can be stressful due to road conditions. But in Mumbai, we have, lots of population density, the, cows of the world, and blah 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 stuff coming on the road left and right. So driving is not fun anymore. The way you used to drive in, old 80s or 70s, when road were really, very few cars like Fiats and Ambassadors, and that's all. Hardly a few imported cars. But nowadays we have, dime a dozen car, and almost if you look at the Mumbai's car density, we have moved from 17 person car to almost, I think, 6-person car. So every sixth person have a car, own a car, and drive a car, and that's how these things are getting complicated day by day. So how do you solve this problem? Let bring in some automation in that. How to leverage this sensor technology which are evolved in last few years, and let's try to understand how we can get benefited from that, right? Now let's try to understand the giants which are basically playing a key part over here. Google started working on the driverless car, because I think automation was the one of the most prominent you know strategy, as far as the Google's parent company. They've started like that only, and we were basically started including investing heavily since 2009, and they named this project called YMO, or the pronunciation differs from American to Europeans to Indians, and also please choose the pronunciation you like, and I'll give you a free hand on that. Now, what they're trying to do, they're trying to have self-driving tech car, or self-driving vehicles, which can basically steer ahead of the obstacles, which can zigzag through, or which can basically try to avoid obstacles. So obstacle avoid was the first prime important technology. That's how we started building this driverless car. Now these also, of course, going to basically help us in reducing accident, because these car will be not that rash, or not that fast, but still we are trying to understand how we can reach from point A to point B, and how we can basically solve all these solution, if not at once, steady and slowly. And that's how the whole evolution of driverless car started in 2009. Sebastian Thrun was the basic engineer who was promoted, and who was basically leading this project from 2009 2010 onwards. And then basically uh, they are also supported by Stanford Artificial Intelligence Laboratory, where they started understanding the node and decision making, learning from these things. So they started building a database where each and every of these, trial runs get added to this, AI database. So what we are trying to understand what are the obstacles coming our way and how we steer it out. That's what the main database that's talk about. It just have a node and a decision. That's all, nothing else. And that's how we leverage these things, and we keep building on those databases. We keep improving those databases as far as the AI, these things. Then we build some pattern matching on these things, and that's how it's get collaborated together on a computer system with couple of sensor. We're going to have a look at those sensor also one by one, and we'll study how that they are working as of today for that. Then of course the DAPA also came into play, because they funded a good amount of project, as well as they had this company won US $2 billion prize in 2005, which really accelerated the efforts due to this funding and the prize and the brand building. And also, and 2001 state of Navarra basically tested these things for around 3 months, and they issued a license for driverless car, because every driver needs a car, right? Even this driver needs a car. This is basically a machine-based license issued. In India, we don't have the process yet, as far as I know. But in US, there are around 6 states which started issuing license to these driverless cars. Yes, they have extensive means and ways to issue a license, and these licenses are normally given for 6 months to a year's time, not more than that, because the machine might need replacement, the car chassis, car's engine might need replacement, and so on and so forth. So the license replacements are kept to these minimum levels. Then again, Nevada was the first thing, and they've actually started building this database, and responsive data collection started in 2012, and these vehicle basically actively getting improvised even on minute by minute basis, if I can say so. And that's how these AI databases can get increased, right? I think most of us know how AI works, right? AI are mostly responsive based systems, so you teach a response to a machine. Let's think about a small light bulb. If you clap once, the light bulb will turn on. If you clap twice, the light bulb will go off. So if it's on, it will go to off. If it's off, it's go to on. We are just changing the state with two claps, right? This is the simplest possible environment, robotic system which we can build with just one decision node and one reactive node. That's all it matters. Now in vehicle, we have many millions such nodes which the vehicle works on, and plus add on to that, it'll get added up, or the database get appended with new learnings of if an event occurred which is new, which is not in a database, and the driver or the car or the driver sitting in a remote place added some new tactics to the new event or new response, they'll get added to the database. And that's how we basically keep building, keep adding these databases to this driverless car, and we are keep improving day by day. Now as we can see, it's basically on from 2005, 2012 we have basically added it to the actual practical scenario, so you can have this car running on the road. So since 2012, now it's 2021, right? 2021. So almost 9 years we are still learning, we are appending this database. So we have extensive database with us as far as this AI database goes. So our system is matured enough to basically understand the road conditions. But right now also we are trying to have these cars driven in a sparse driving condition, not in a Mumbai like city, and some regularized road where we have those reflective stickers or reflective sensors put in on a corner and a turning and all those things. So these computers will basically get how much you need to turn and how soon I should start turning and all, because at the instance you can't get the robot work in that fast as a human mind. Our responses are quite quick enough. Just give me a minute, please. Yes, our responses are quite enough as a human, right? And we're going to understand the even humanoids also in the second part of this training. So we'll understand how we are basically coping up with that things as well. But to have those decisions implemented through these mechanized robots, we have certain problems because they won't act as a human reflexes. There are some time required, there are some time lags. So that's why we need to have certain environmental supportability whenever you are using driverless car. And we'll have a look at how these things works basically, right? So let's try to understand. On the left hand side you can see a Lexus RX 450h. This is the latest car. This is released in last year. This was running on North American road as we speak. And this was the Firefly, was the first YMO car which was released in 2012, which got a license from the Nevada Desert Licensing Authority. And that's how we've started, we have evolved, right? Could you see there's a black cap on all these vehicles? This is what we call lidar. And there are a couple of not couple of, there are almost 16 cameras all around the car. There are around 15 to 18 sensors depending on the technology and the versions of AI data we are using. And that's how this car drives itself, right? Let's try to understand how it works on a normal scenario. So whenever we learn, right, how do we learn? A driver error is the most common cause of traffic accidents, and we learn from these things. A normal distractions like cell phone for a driver, for a human driver I'm talking about. Then the various entertainment system, we play music, we have certain traffic challenges, complicated road systems, we have potholes and all those things. These really drive the driver crazy, and it basically triggers more and more accidents day by day. Plus there are drowsiness, the driver might feeling tired, he or she couldn't really keep up to the optimum intelligence level at the time of driving. And that's how we basically get bugged by all these situational drivers as a driver, right? And then additionally we have anger, situational state, mood swings, and blah 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 stuff, a fight at home, fight at office, the weather challenges, like we don't have icy conditions, but yes, of course we have fogs, we have rainy conditions, and that also leads to quite a good amount of traffic condition. So a driverless car can solve all these problems for you, because driverless car is an independent driver, right? It's a system acting, so they can use all the technology in the world to get rid of this fog, get rid of even desert storm, the snow. Even they can have readily attached to various weather system, so they know in terms of what's happening on the road, how things are moving, as far as the around environment of the car overall goes, right? So you can actually solve all these problems just by replacing the driver, and by hence getting rid of all the challenges in terms of going from point A to point B, right? And that's how the efforts are started. Now let's try to understand how this basically started as an experiment. As the name says, this car does not need a driver to drive it. Actually, the passenger just has to feed the destination, and he wants to reach the car and will take him to the destination. That's the overall thought process we have started with. Then we have something called autopilot system, which we are familiar. Like autopilot is a system normally used in aviation industry. Whenever the plane take off, the autopilot starts. Means it's at a optimum height, the autopilot switched on, and then autopilot takes care of most of the navigation, most of the turning the plane, navigating the plane, planning, balancing in the air, and all those things. Now these are the normal pre-programmed system. That's what we call autopilot. And then whenever you land, we take the control to manual, and the pilot lands the plane. So for takeoff and landing, these are the most complex things which we pulled it out of the autopilot, and then we have around 60 to 85% of plane flight can be driven by autopilot. So these two pilots, the pilot and co-pilot, can just observe or supervise it. That's how the scenario is in aviation industry. In for driverless car, we are also trying we also tried that thing previous earlier, but rather than that, even our what you can say, system can be built for pulling the car out of the parking. That's easiest thing. So it's not like we are doing many major complicated thing while pulling the car out of parking, or parking the car. So for us, entry point and exit points are not a challenge. Our main challenge as far as driving a car goes, whenever you are on road, and there you need to decide in a nanoseconds, you need to feed the response in a nanosecond and react to the current scenario, and then keep driving, right? And that's how the whole things basically got defined in terms of driverless car, how we could build it, how we could take it ahead from actual theory to practicals. So there are a couple of sensors which you need to understand first, and then we'll try to understand how these driverless cars work, right? The first and foremost is a lidar. That's how they pronounce it, lidar, light detection and ranging. Now how does this help? Light detection and ranging is basically rasterization of a laser system. They normally have a 6 laser to 36 laser system, which will scan the car's environment, means all the angles 360-degree, and feed the obstructions to the CPUs installed in a car. And what does this CPU does? This CPU builds a virtual environment for all these driving condition within the car, and then it starts driving. So the least obstructive way the car will proceed. If there are certain measures which we say them, if the obstructions are more than so many, then you slow down the car. If the obstruction are more than so many, you can just stop the car, and so on and so forth. This is how it happens actually in real life. So you have some scenario where you have obstacles, might be on the left, might be on the right, and you have a guided path ahead of you, which at least for next let's say 12 foot or 18 foot, you don't have any obstacle. So you can keep driving at a given speed, or you can increase the speed, or you can basically plan another longer radar, so that we can gauge the furthermore obstacles on the road, of course on the guided system, and then the computer will decide if you want to increase the speed or not. So these way we are trying to understand the obstructions from a few meters to almost up to 10 meters, and that's how these cars progress on a given way. And of course these are guided way, so you should have certain reflective measures, so that the car's computer can know the road in terms of actual road, because in most of the scenario, whatever paver blocks we have, whatever road ending guidance system we have for humans, they are not working effectively for cars or effectively for cameras. That's what we've learned, right? And on top of that, we have some radar system. Now again, this radar is supporting to this lidar. Lidar is basically a light detecting, right? Light in the sense they detect ultrasonic lights, not ultrasonic, what do you call, ultraviolet light. So it's not human eye, these things. These are high frequency light which they were scanning. On top of that, we have these radaring system. These are basically sound reflexes. So even if something missed by lidar, the sonar system can also understand that, and then the computer basically matches these things. They try to overlap this scenario and try to find out if there are any mismatch, so that we can't fool the sensoring system. That's how we make sure all these two systems are guided, and these are optimum for the speed need till around 45 to 55 miles per hour. That's around 62 miles per hour, and we are good with these. And normally all these driverless car, they are planned for not going above 62, except Tesla and some few of the other cars. But they have certain different additional sensors, and we'll come to that later on. Then we have ultrasonic sensors. These are again for scanning. If in case automatic radar system is not stable, these ultrasonic sensor triggers up. But there are very few systems which are already enabled with ultrasonics, but normally we go with the automotive radar system only. Then we have video cameras. Now video cameras is basically for the car computer and the remote operation agent, so that he knows in case even these two systems can fail something in terms of dust storm, in terms of fog, in terms of any unhuman conditions. These video cameras will guide the operator sitting, let's say few hundred kilometers, can stop or can override the automated system and can guide the car to a safest place. That's how the things are basically implemented as of now. And on top of that, we have GPS, which will make sure whatever you have planned as a route is pre-formatted or pre-programmed in the car. So they are working in a pre-formatted path, which are basically fitted with a pre-formatted reflective sensors. So the car's computer know where to turn, where to go, and how effectively you can go in certain scenarios. And we also do program on the speed sync. So there are certain areas where we should have speed below 10. There are certain areas where we can go as fast as we want, because the road is either elevated road. Highways means they are lifted from the any animals peeping on the road or any kid walking on the road kind of scenario. There you can go at a good speed, and so on and so forth. And we have these position estimators also. So there are certain reflective indicators added at a certain points, which basically gives you positions in addition to the GPS positioning system, which are basically physically present on the road, and they give you give the car computers exact speed and progress path on a real time basis. And then we have some measurement unit like speed, response, obstructions, and this is what we are adding to the database of whatever AI database we have on the system. It can be clubbed with the ML library, or these databases are normally collected as an decision node, and then we migrate it to different other ML libraries and ML response system as well. And these are all open system. So you can get, if not Wyoming, you can go to Apache, and they have quite a good number of such databases available for you. So if you want to make a single typical robot, even Amazon have a robot, obstructionless robot for your what I can say, a kit. You can try to build it with these things, and you can use those libraries within that robot, so that robot can steer within your house without any obstruction till the cell battery is active, or you have certain remote control placed over it, and you can really work with this obstruction steering system with these databases which are available. And the home robot normally works, except lidar, it works with the radar system. It have a radar system, it have a video camera, and on top of that it have a Bluetooth guiding system also, or a reflector based guiding system also. And GPS, yes, you can enable GPS on that, because GPS is really it's not cheap, but it's really approximative things if you want to drive something given set of parameters, right? So these are the all combination you can try at home also, and you'll get a clear idea how to use these databases which are evolved over time, and you can utilize within your grasp within your robot at home, and try to build a robot which can guide you throughout the house for delivering trays and all. Because I think the Amazon robot which we have, it can deliver up to 0.5 kg at a speed of around, I think, a meter a second kind of scenario. So it's good one. It's not that bad, but yeah, you can deliver a cup of or a plate of poha or cup of tea, and you can be really happy. Like, I made a robot. And if you know, there are quite a few medicine distribution kit we have developed in recent months for these COVID patients and COVID hospitals, right? Those are they are working with like similar kits, or they have developed similar kits like the Amazon one we have, and they have built these obstruction steering systems at various point, including something like Sangli, Mumbai, Nagpur, and quite a few other places also. So quite a few hospitals are now enabled with these obstructionless driven responsive robots to deliver these medicines and food to the patients. And that's how we are improving on this thing day by day. So this is really a great learnings for all engineering enthusiasts, so that we can build some really groundbreaking stuff here. Means we are working at building robots for industrial use, for day-to-day use, or for use like in a critical scenario like COVID patient systems and all as well. Okay, let's try to understand how this things are working in a correlated way. So as we know, GPS, we have GPS, we track the coordinates. We have a reference coordinates coming out from satellite, and we try to locate the other cars. We try to communicate with other cars. We try to steer away from whatever point we have mentioned not to collide on, and so on and so forth. So these type of pre-programmed path, including GPS, already included in the system. Now, the most important crucial part is this LiDAR thing, light detection and ranging system. These are sensors or the lasers which spinning at not a very high speed, but yes, it's built a complete rasterization of 3D image in the car's computer, so that whatever obstruction is coming in a way can be detected as early as possible and can be responded as early as possible. And that's how they have started building these lidar interfaces. This was the development in last 6 years. Now this lidar are also improved a lot. Means if you know previously, if you've seen any of these driverless car, you can clearly see this top revolving gun like scenario there, and people used to frighten from these things. But now everybody know what lidar is and why these things are revolving and how the scanning works. You can have a really good video in understanding lidar. If you go to YouTube and try to understand how lidar works, you'll get an exact idea how these lasers scanning or rasterizing the complete image in the company's vector drawing thing, and how we basically responding to different obstacles coming our way. So these are real-time motion sensing with 3D image, which 3D vector plotting in the system's plot, so that it can react to a given obstruction well in time, well ahead of time. Then we have, of course, video cameras. These are basically for traffic light detections. These are basically for road signs. These are basically for the remote control as well. So we have normally a supervisory remote control. In some scenario, they also gone away with that. In some test in recent months, they have already gone away with the remote control, but they still have a remote observatory for all driverless car even as of now, right? And then we have these radar sensors at the place of these headlights and tail lights, where they normally have these ultrasonics obstacle sensing going on through these things. And then we have central computer which collects this data, build the database, AI database, and try to distribute to central computer, which can basically process things for distribution with others also. These are mostly open system except for Tesla and except for Wyoming. All these mostly obstructionless car, they are built with a shared database, so you can really pull out their no decision based data, and you can couple it with your system, so you can have build your data driverless car as well. Then of course we have various other sensor which make sure there is sufficient air in the car's tire. The temperature range is good for the passengers. The driving conditions are really well planned. and well aligned in terms of stormy weather, in terms of snows on the road, and so on and so forth. That's how the whole driverless car works in coordination with all the sensor on the board, and plus building sensory information data sharing for the open system enthusiasts, so they can enable their cars, their objects, their driverless robots to be enabled with all these learnings. And that's the best thing which is happening in this industry. But still, there are quite a lot, I think, miles to achieve, because even today we couldn't go to a really difficult driving conditions to be handed over to the driverless car. Means if you could imagine a driverless car in a Mumbai, means, well, Mumbai is quite disciplined that way. If you can imagine a driverless car at Pune, only God can help them, believe me. Means the way the traffic is indisciplined, is really very challenging in terms of some indisciplined traffic condition for driverless cars. And that still we have to go a long way in basically adaptation of such cars all over the globe, and we are still trying our best system. As I told you, lidar is the best system we have evolved over last 5-6 years, and this system is basically helping us to understand the obstacles way ahead. Even these obstacles are moving. This lidar system builds a coherent optical hydrodyne detections within the computer system. These are basically a vector obstruction forms in this on the system's detection path, and get confirmed with the radar's obstruction reflections also, and so the car move ahead in this scenario, or rather slows down, or take reactive action in such scenario. That's how this lidar is helping us out for a driverless car. Anybody have any questions here? Anybody?
I think no, sir. You can proceed for.
Okay, sure, no problem. Let's take care of something like automatic radar system, right? So how this radar system work? We have seen the radars in airports, right? They have these sonic radar. That's what they call. They build a helix in the atmosphere over the each and every airport, and they normally nominate each and every plane as an moving entity, and they try to control all these planes with a singular communication or coordination bench, and that's what that they call ATC, air traffic controller unit, right? Similarly here, we are trying to control a single entity from inside. So ATC, air traffic controller, they control all these planes from outside the plane. Here we are sitting inside the car, and we are trying to control all the obstruction. So this is a bit easier, but still we are using the same sort of radar system, and we use something like the sensor, which are basically trying to have these DPS unit, DSP units, to understand if there are any obstacles, if there are any targets listed. We could verify it with other 3-4 sensors, so that we can confirm there is an obstacle, and it gets escalated to the next level, where the computer system can check it with the lidar system, and it compares if it's a obstruction, is it a motion based obstruction, is it stagnant obstruction. If it's a stagnant, then I can steer away. If it's a motion based obstructions, which can be gauged from repetitive radaring response, or the lidar can plot it at real time vector image, and so we can understand if it's moving target, how moving obstruction, how fast is he moving, and so on and so forth. And these are basically tried and tested balanced methodologies, or balanced AI technologies, which enable us to basically understand who is moving where they are moving. And we had a real good test in 2017, when there was a kid coming in I think Google's Cars way. I think it was in October. One kid came into road with his ball, and the car just stopped there. And that was really, it's the video is available on a YouTube, and the mother also came in running behind it, and the car just stopped in an adjacent lane, of course, and we can save the kid, and nothing wrong happened. But at that time, if you know what you mean by system hang kind of scenario, something like that happened, because there were too many decisions to be taken in such a nanosecond span of time, the computer basically gone in a frozen stage, and the car just shut down itself by going into the topmost lane. Well, in US, if you're driving on a right is basically uh, it's a right hand drive, right? So no, it's a left hand drive. In US, you have left hand drive. So from right, the kid was coming. So the car, stirred into the topmost lane, means the leftmost lane, and then the car stopped there. And that's how the overall, sensors. Then we had learnings. We have a response built in for such scenario. So rather than just stopping, we have to slow it down, and then we need to understand how he or she is moving. If it's a kid, we can plan it out. So we have given some, even pattern matching to the AI, so that we understand if it's a kid, then let's start honking, or start distracting him with certain light or horns. And that's also included in the new driverless system since 2017 onwards. So we are trying our best to get acquainted with the situations, learn from our mistakes, build the AI much better, bigger, and more accommodative, so that we can have our car driven down on the road with the optimum speed and with the optimum delivery cycles. That's what we are trying to do. And radar and lidar is the most two crucial elements which helps us, right? Let's take a step ahead. Now, GPS and IMU. GPS is global positioning. I believe we all know, because we use our smartphones. We can track somebody, we can track our phone, and so on and so forth, right? GPS are basically GPS is a map. It's a grid provided by satellites in the lower orbit, and they provide a complete grid-based referencing system, a latitude longitude-based numbering system for a coordinate. So we can track this coordinate. In India, we have around I think 1.5 meters. In US, they have reached to a 5 centimeter grid-based system. These basically depends on the satellites we have in orbit, and this gets improved by the funding and the infrastructure upliftment cost basically provided by government of India in Indian scenario. In US, they have military supported system. There are quite a few even private players. So they have quite a big amount of mesh of satellites built over North American areas, so they can track it much better than Indian thing. But still, we have whatever we required for a driverless car, and we can still work on with these 1.5 meter GPS maneuvering system. And on top of that, we have something called inertial measurement unit. Now, these are basically devices which are normally try to plan their movement based on the local coordinates, the on ground coordinates. This is what we call gyroscope, accelerometer, magnetometers, which drive the overall computer at a given speed, at optimum speed, with all these guidance system, which we normally put it on the road at the edge of the road, on the edge of the road, and then how it gets guided. And that's what we need. The IMU and GPS system together works for this driverless car. Only GPS might be, I'll not say blind, but it'll be too rough to only based on GPS. So we need to have these IME system also in place to have driverless car effectively working with a given path. And to understand this IME system, I think that Amazon obstruction driven robots are the best, or the Bluetooth path driven robot can give you a very clear idea how that database works, how this IME system helps to a given vehicle to steer through the obstacles. Believe me, and there are videos on the YouTube also with these robots they have built, and they have posted those videos. So you can go and have a look at those videos to understand how this IME system works in detail. I believe this gives you a clear idea how the driverless car should function, right? Now we are on top of that, we have some really good technologies which are evolved over the time for auto markets, and we have included them in this driverless car. We have anti-lock braking system, we have electronic stability control, we have a cruise control, we have a lane departure warning system. We don't have in India, but yes, we are planning to have this in Mumbai very soon. We don't have self parking, but yes, we have certain automated parking system in quite a few apartments nowadays. Automated guided vehicle system, this is what we talk about, the IMU thing. Automotive night vision, yes, these are available in high-end cars, the luxury cars in India. Adaptive high beam, these are specifically for driverless car. We built a high beam. This is again on top of the cameras and the radar systems we have. These are extra high moving particles to be judged. These are specifically useful in sandstorm kind of scenario, where we need to use really dense solid particles in the air, which has to be basically steered out in terms of understanding the obstacles coming in our way proactively. But still, this is also kind of evolving technology. In a sandstorm, we don't really use these driverless cars, but they have tried a couple of times. They are still trying to improve on their scenarios. Even fog, yes, we have successfully completed those driverless cars. In fog, driverless cars are really effective, much effective than normal those fog lamps and all these things, because the IR things works, the lidar thing works in fog scenario very well. For a sandstorm, yes, there are problems, because these are like reflective rasterization lasers, so they can't penetrate sandstorm. Sand is basically a stone particle. So these are kind of quite challenging scenarios for even lidar also. But yes, it's much better than a human visions. So we are getting we are evolving day by day, and we might get there. Might be in few years. We might see a couple of driverless car on Mumbai road as well. Let's hope for that. At least I'm hoping for that, because there are quite a few rash driver nowadays. If you look at the younger generations, they are really want to drive fast. They want to go faster. Yes, go ahead, please. Any question for me?
So, sir, if we talk about the economic side of this,
Uh-huh.
according to you, are the expenses incurred in this, and it is really economic for a country like India?
Yes, rather than economically, I'll say it's a safer feature. Economic, yes, there's another way to it means see, if you want to build a driverless car, the things can start from anything like 15,000 or something like that. Means that robot which we can get it on Amazon, it's 4,500. It's not that costly. And but yes, the maximum speed limitations, they are quite challenging. Plus the learning haven't evolved to a dense traffic system as of now. So also the feasibility and the feasibility challenges and safety is the most advantageous feature rather than a cost. So I'll say for a cost wise, it's okay, but safety and overall evolution is still a challenge. So as far as Mumbai road goes, I think we need to wait for at least a year or so, if not less. I hope that answers your
Okay.
question.
Yes, yes, cool, cool. So routing in the same domain, let's jump a bit into the robotics, okay? And there is
Sure.
a very popular Bollywood movie named Robot, and the
Right.
character portrayed in that movie was very fascinating. Yet it was a impossible thing for us a few years back. It was an impossible feeling, and I think this futuristic concept has now become a reality and has finally found its place now. So there is Sophia now. So can you please share some insights about Sophia from your concurrent slides?
Sure, no problem. I like the overall, thing of humanoids, right? These actually make us think like humans can be replaced. They are, I don't know. I'm working on AI for last 12 odd years, but still, we are nowhere close to even replacing a kid. Believe me, in terms of imagination, in terms of understanding. But still, we have gone away, and then we have started trying to understand rather than to learn everything. We have started learning few things about humans, few things about the responsiveness of mind, way to show emotions, way to speak different linguistics, way to understand and respond in a certain way for a given culture. And this is what we are trying to build in terms of these robots. So these are what we call humanoids. They try to behave like humans, and that's what the most important or most fascinating part on these robots, right? So Sophia was the first social humanoid development started by a Hong Kong company called Handsome Robotics. Of course, they've started very low in a scenario in 2016. They basically sat and discussed about these. Rather 2014 they've started understanding how the humanoid should look like. What are the crucial element we should go first, and building some strategy around it. And it was first activated on February 2016 and they made their first appearance in 2000 in March, a few days after, in Austin, Texas. It was unveiled first, and it was just a North American speaking robot with around, I think, 3 to 4 facial expression like smile, laugh, wink, and close both the eyes for understanding, and nod, like when you say yes, you move your head up and down, or no when you move your head left and right. So these kind of emotions they are built in predominantly to start with. So this was what they call first social humanoid, and that's how they've started this thing. But the way it got picked up by media, and the way she got popular, many of others also started working on that. But Sophia really improved a lot. Even Handsome Robotics had a good funding in their way, and they've put in quite a good amount of efforts and money in building Sophia. Even Sophia came to India a couple of times. Sophia traveled all around the world. Saudi Arabia offered citizenship to Sophia in 2017. That's the first robot to receive a citizenship in Saudi Arabia. And 2017, also names the first ever innovation champion, because the first ever non-human innovation champion, because it can build some databases. We started collecting. These are educational robot. Sophia is a educational humanoid. That's what they call it. So all these database, the AI database is available. Even the facial expression how they've created is available in the open system in Hanson Robotics or Wikipedia or Apache Lab. So there are these 3 sites where you can actually download the machine learning database and try to build these things, or try to use these things if you want to build a humanoid by yourself. And these are really understandable, because when you smile, there are a couple of muscles get stretched out, there are a couple of muscles get released out, right, and so on and so forth. So if you study your smile in front of your mirror, you'll get to know there are around 6 muscles which we need to contract, or release in a scenario when we say, we call it smile. In a laughing, well, it's also added with a sound of laughing from a throat. So this is how we learn. We analyzed humans, we analyzed ourselves, and we included such scenario in these humanoids. And now they can do quite a few things. Means they are the good translator. Well, like Google Translator, of course, not a human translator, because we are trying to build them to adapt to the situation as well. So we are trying to make them understand if the other person is angry, what other muscles are normally get stretched, if the other person is happy, if other person is greeting you friendly, if greeting you non-friendly way, then how to react in those scenario. So we are still working. It's an evolutionary mode. But since 2016, we have come a long way within last 5 years, right? Because today's February 27th. So we have completed almost 5 years when Sophia was first activated. And she have built a lots amount of databases, lots amount of response system within themselves, which are also included in other robots. There are normally 5 robots we discuss as far as the best humanoids. First is Sophia. Second is Robocop. This is a actual, if you've seen Robocop movie, similar Robocop. But yeah, we are not using human brain into that robot. It's just a robot which acts like a cop. It have what you can say, request response type of system inbuilt in, with a touch screen at the place of his heart, and you can touch and select certain menus to make him more adaptable to the given scenario. These are available on Dubai airport. So whenever you land, you'll get to know about these robo cabs. You can ask him in plain simple English. You can choose from I think 4 different English. There's an Indian English version also. He can react to you within Hindi, Arabic, even Mandarin, because there are lots of Chinese passenger go there, and so on and so forth. So this is how we are evolving. Then we have Corey. Corey is started with the Japan. Now it's a North American company. It's a small child-friendly robot, or a family-friendly robot. He normally does socialization, interaction, open the door, close the door, share the anger, start the music. The Alexa and these voice robots are basically kind of evolved from Corey. And again, the pronunciation depends how you want to pronounce it. There are certain different ways of pronouncing this word also. Then we have Okay, where did I miss? Rashmi. Okay, I miss Rashmi. Sorry, sorry. In 2016, one of the Indians started working on an Indian robot like Sophia, and he built something called Rashmi. It's actual working robot who can speak around 6 languages. To start with English, Hindi, Marathi, yes, Bhojpuri, yes. So this is how we are also improving as far as Indian scenarios is. Rashmi was in IIT Mumbai, I think. In last just before the COVID pandemic got kicked in. It was not a very great social event, but yes, there were far and few members. They were there, and she spoken in quite good amount of Marathi. Like I think 7-year-old, out of state guy, out of state born kid speak Marathi in Mumbai. I'll not go to the Puneri level Marathi, but typical, mixed cosmopolitan Marathi. And he was good. Rashmi was good, and she has some, I think, 12 to 15 facial expression also. So the Rashmi can tell you if she's happy, she's annoyed, she's sleepy, she yawns also, and so on and so forth. So there are, we have a page on Rashmi also. So have a look at Rashmi. It's really, as a proud Indian, I will talk more about Rashmi. But yes, as we, decided talking about Sophia, we'll go and discuss about how Sophia, become famous and all. And then there's another robot called Toyota THR3. Then another robot from Honda called uh, Aishma. And these are basically a kind of human helping robots working in those factories 24/7, or working in their corporate offices, so that they can welcome guests, they can serve coffee, and they can clean up to a level, and so on and so forth. So they have added these things. All these things are available on the YouTube. You can have a look at details. Okay, let's move on to the Sophia thing. Sophia was, basically, if you look at the older Hindu movies, like, you talked about robot, but before that we have quite a good amount of English movies which were, started building these humanoids. And I think the most prominent one was, with a British movie. I couldn't remember the exact movie name though, but there was this actress, Audrey Hepburn. She was playing this thing. Now this Sophia's face is basically similar to these actress, and we have taken the facial expression in terms of how much muscle displacement, the joints displacement, how the spine has to be, reacted in bowing manner, like the way you saw it in Japanese culture, so and so. These are taken from these actresses. So we are trying to have observe these muscles displacement from these actresses emotional reactions. Then of course, as of now, she has 62 facial experience, and in 2018 she have given a leg, so she can walk now. Yes, she can walk around, I think, very slow, man, 6 meter a minute or something like that sort. So not faster on that. Now let's talk about the AI, the way AI have been evolved as far as Sophia. Do you have any questions for me at this moment? Because this is now we are going into the technicality of the Sophia and how we can build a Sophia at a place also. If you want to go into ML, if you want to work on artificial intelligence, Sophia can be one of the next most important robotics things, because as of now we are trying to address the emotional response and other responses. But nowadays there are some robots which are really effective in nature. They wipe your they do all jhadu pochas, and they do it effectively. Believe me, they do all those vacuum suctioning. They do effectively, and these robots are already active in a bigger hospital in Mumbai, so that's those things are automated. So we are not really struggling with the employee strike. Are they costly? If you really work out the cost versus operational thing, I'll go for discipline and cleaning more than the salary. And that's how these hospitals are choosing. Of course, these hospitals are high paid paying hospitals, so they can spend so much amount on these robotics things. But believe me, these robots are not as costly as they used to be. Means you can really create a robot. There are lots of kit available on Amazon and other sites as well, where you can build a robot by yourself which can do a normal duties like walk, lift a cup, lift something and put it somewhere else, and so on and so forth. So there are lots of robot kits available on the Amazon, or you can build a robotic kits. There are quite a good amount of papers available on IEEE. There are quite a few lots, no, lots and lots of artificial intelligence database available if you want to build some cleaning robots, because that's what the next wave is coming into the world, to build some cleaning robots, right? So what does these cleaning robots do? These robots roam around. They try to find out if there are anything lying ideal somewhere which shouldn't be there, and that's how they work. What they do, they normally build a map within their database of a given house, and then they try to bring the house to that state after, let's say, the person leave house, or on a frequent interval, and that's how they have been trained, or they have been programmed to be specific. And this is how we are working on, and this is the industry where the things are really getting economical. And even in India, believe me, most probably in all local station, they are thinking of implementing such robotic cleaning things, so that we'll have cleaning at a periodic interval, the mopping at a periodic interval, at least in all those stations which are basically laced with those what do you call those stone based flooring, like CST, some part of the other station, and so on, so forth. Even New Mumbai, which have those tiles, what do you call, I forgot the actual name of these, not vitrified tiles, those particular stone granites, yes, granite, wherever they were equipped with granites, because granite have really a clear reflective surface, which can be analyzed by robotic sensors very easily. For all other paved surfaces and all, they are difficult to analyze and difficult to clean. In the scenario, there are some cavities, and they are really takes a lot of time in terms of efficiency way for these robots. So we are trying to find a medians between economical and effectiveness, and a long-term solution which are not dependent in terms of human, because human tend to make mistakes. Human tend to basically do certain things at their own pace most of the time, and they are not really suitable for dangerous working conditions like heavy rains. Well, we don't have heavy cold in Mumbai, but still, all such scenarios. And that's how we are trying. I think Guwahati will be our first railway station to be get cleaned by robotics. They have already implemented, I think, 4 or 5 such robots for cleaning those platforms. They have, I think, 3 platforms, and they have already started on those things. They're just in a testing phase right now. They're testing for first, I think, 4 months or so. But the results are really encouraging over there. Yeah, anybody have any questions for me right now before going to the technicality? You can raise your hand, and even Prathamesh sir or ma'am can guide for those questions as well.
I think at this moment we do not really have one, so you can continue, sir.
Okay, so I'm speaking really, nobody is understanding, or nobody wants to understand, I don't know what, but both the things, but that's okay.
Yeah, I
I'll
think Abhishek is raising hand.
Okay, okay. Yeah. So yeah, that's it. If you're confused with anything, if you want any other details, please raise a hand. I try to basically give the details while I'm talking. Like you can look at those corresponding sites and corresponding pages, so you'll get all the details. If not, I'm going to share the contacts with contact my contacts also, so you can get in touch with me as well. Okay, so let's take out the understand how this thing works in terms of Sophia, or what it takes to build a humanoid robot, right? So Sophia, it's not just the AI. It has neural networks. It has a reaction-based system. It have machine perceptions. It has also conversational natural language processing. So there's a linguistics involved. There is overall muscles expression displacements also involved there, and there are many other things which are working together here. Yes, there are not heavy lifting, so we are not looking at very heavy machinery in place to help us here. But yes, the motor control is basic minimum, and whatever is required to have these facial expressions, displacements, and those kind of smaller functionalities only. Now Sophia's AI underlying components are specially developed. Believe me, there are quite a few there are quite a few, scientific teams which are involved in, developing such, databases specifically for Sophia. So Sophia's, popularity basically driven the whole critical thing to another level, and that's how it really help us out to expedite things for all these facial expressions things, for all these, trying to understand linguistics, trying to make it more cultural oriented than, a robot which can do certain business critical things. Right? Yes, of course. Sophia is what we call socialized humanoid. So we are trying to be more socialized, trying to include the social nature of humans into robots, and that was the first, prime strategy. That's how we started. So me saying to use it as an industrial function is kind of deviation from those strategies. So that was not aimed to start with, and so we haven't have those kind of scenario in this. Right? So let's try to understand how these technology working together. So uh, Sophia use age machine perceptions, which allows to recognize human faces. So we are basically, Sophia was the first robot to understand human facial expression and human face recognitions. So face recognition is the prime thing, because whenever you want to respond to gestures, respond to various facial expression for a given face, you need to understand the facial expression. You need to gauge the expression of opponent, and then you can respond, right? And that's how these things are really evolved as far as Sophia goes. So as we know, as and when Sophia robots progressed, our facial recognition system have been progressed with that, because these teams are working tirelessly, even trying to understand the single muscles captured on a given camera in a consecutive frames. Means if you talk about something like getting caught on those low raise camera fitted at the corner shop, and trying to understand the um, wrongdoer's face. That was the first thing which is really evolved in terms of understanding facial expression, understanding even masked individuals. If the individual is masked, how can remove the mask and try to gauge from whatever part of face is captured in the camera, and try to build a face on basis of that. That's also we learned from Sophia, and we are doing it quite effectively. And these cameras, there are new set of cameras which even a part of your facial facial area can give them a quite lot amount of details nowadays, rather than we used to work with the older technology. So facial recognition gone a longer way as far as overall progress in those things have evolved. Even we have around what they call uh, around quite a few solvers and path planning on controlling hand, gaze, and locomotive strategies. So these are basically synchronized hand movements we normally do psychologically, even we don't know them. And that's how the human brain works. We try to include such psychological hand movements, psychological facial expression, like to close eye or to wink or to dim the eye whenever you're observing something minutely, to spam the eye whenever you are surprised, and all these kind of eye movements, the lip movements, lip curly movements, um, and all these even other facial move, these things are coordinated way in a locomotive strategy. So all these there are, if I'm not mistaken the number, there are around 20 odd motors in Sophia's face, controlling her facial, muscles, frankly speaking. So they, get pulled out those muscle fiber on her face, depending on the psychological, facial you need to depict in a given scenario. And it keeps reading. Sophia's I have two camera in each eye. They keep reading this emotional, opponent's emotional state with these camera, and they have certain pattern inbuilt in her machine learning capability, where they can understand if you're happy, if you're sad, and if you go with a blank face, she can tell you up to a good correctness, like if you're angry, or you are happy, or up to a certain way. It's a kind of evolving day by day. So there are quite a few good amount of emotional reading sense we are giving to all these robotics, technologies, and this is helping us a lot in terms of understanding the facial recognition or understanding the emotion proactively, and that's how these AI is getting enabled with all these new learnings from Sophia. And then yes, it's a collective intelligence as we talk about, right? So we talk about humans with Sophia intelligence collective in system, and they're comprised of various scientists, philosophers, artists, writers, and psychologists as well. And these are basically hybrid operations commonly used in telerobotics or voice agents. Even whenever we speak, we modulate our voice. So this voice modulation also got captured in Sophia's linguistics, so that whenever you speak certain language, a bit faster, a bit slower, a bit with higher voice, a bit lower voice, and so on, all these voice modulations are also observed and learned and planned programmatically in the AI of Sophia and the other humanoids, so that other humanoid means I think Rashmi is the only facial expression robotics. Others are have a pretty standard face, right? Be it a Corey, be it THR3 or Asmita. They're all they don't have what you can say facial expression generators, but only Sophia and Ashmita. These two all have these facial response systems built onto them, and that's how they are responding these things. And together, these tools call allow AI and people to learn, get along better as AI gets smarter and more widely used. I'll still say it's in an evolutionary phase, and we are still learning on these day by day. So if you see Sophia or a robot-like thing installed in Mumbai airport, don't get alarm, because that's also on the card. And most probably within a year or so, we'll have a few robots on roaming around Mumbai airport just for guiding the passengers, just to make sure there are no unforeseen circumstances or any mentally challenged people or very angry people coming onto airport or something like that. So we are trying to even use this thing in terrorist observable system also. If you can recall, last year there was a terrorist captured in France airport with bombs strapped on his stomach by a robot. This is because of the blank expression on his face and his eye movements, which were really critical in terms of observation around. And these triggered some cameras, and the supervisor tracked him and captured him at the end of the day. Means he got captured in the afternoon there, and we have averted almost saving thousands of passengers. Most probably, I believe it's Paris airport, but I can be wrong there. It was a French airport. That's I'm very sure about. It wasn't last year. I think mostly whenever there was a trigger in Corona pandemic, this was in March, right? So I believe March, April end, we had that occurrence there. And yes, of course, the Sophia started with Korean company, so we have maximum Korean scientists working on this thing around the clock. Yes, and there are quite a good number of gents and ladies in this team. So that's also another proud moments for all ladies here. And yes, of course, that's the end of my presentation. I'm Ravindra Pandey. This is my number. You can contact me on LinkedIn, WhatsApp, whatever you like. I'm ready to take questions if you have any.
So in case if anyone has doubt, you can put it in.
Chat
Yeah.
box also. I think there's a
Or
chat, right?
you can just unmute and ask.
Yeah.
Just a small question I was having, sir. So I think you can create your own friend and clone of yours as well, and whatnot if this technology grows further. Okay. So
Yes.
can you share some recent deployments of humanoids and some use cases like
Uh-huh.
थोड़ा raw level पे?
Yes, as I already discussed, right? There was a Rashmi in India. You can have a look at Rashmi. Let me check out if I have that page open. Okay, let me show you a video of driverless car, the latest car, Toyota Pyrus, and I think that's one of the thing I would really love to share with all of us, so that wait a minute, can I join? Okay, yeah, I can. I believe. Could you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Oh man, where is going? It's going on some different. Could you see this? Could you
Yes,
hear
it's
him? Okay, great. That top revolving thing is the lidar. This is the most crucial part, and we shouldn't obstruct. This shouldn't be obstructed by anything, and that's how that laser works. And this works in really dangerous circumstances like sandstorm, even snow, fog, and everything. This actual video a few months older.
So, are you playing the video?
Come again, please, ma'am.
Are you playing the video?
Yes, ma'am. From YouTube.
I think there's a lag. We can't see the video.
Let me paste the link in the chat box so you can have a is there any common chat box participate.
Uh, so you can paste it in the chat box, but it is not accessible to students. So I'll paste it in the WhatsApp group.
Okay, ma'am, where's the chat box? Okay, let more actions, device, meeting details. I couldn't see the chat box also, pardon me for that. Okay, if you go to YouTube, called Wyoming celebrates 10 million miles. That was the could you see the name on the screen, the YouTube name?
Yes, yes, the name is visible.
Wyoming celebrates 10 million miles of autonomous driving, and there are others as well. This was a really big milestone for autonomous car over there. Let me RESHMI Rashmi humanoid. You oh man. Let me check. I don't know Wikipedia, I believe. Give me a minute, please. Mm, no, this is going somewhere else. Just give me a minute. I don't get that exact spelling. Okie dokie. Here I go. Ras. Here we go. Yeah, same with if you search for Indian humanoid robot Rashmi, you'll get those details. And there's a Wikipedia page of Rashmi as well. See, this is a Rashmi we are talking about. It was, really renamed as oh man, no, first lip syncing robot. It was revealed in October 2019. Times of India reviewed it on 6 June 2020. It speaks English, Hindi, Bhojpuri, Marathi, and all these things. They have given all the details here. It's created by, let me get the name of Ranjit Srivastav. He's from Ranchi, and he developed this thing. He was the leader for developing these things, and even ISRO supported him, and there are various top-notch Indian institution also supported in building of Rashmi, and this is an open source thing, so you can access her all learnings, the ML data. Only you need to learn what type of ML database they are using, because Sophia they are releasing in all the versions, means be it a NLP, be it a deep learning type of DB. They have released in all those forms, but for Rashmi, I'm not very sure what type of DB they are using. Still, you can you have their websites, and you can go to their website and try to find out, or you can contact them as well. Yes. Any additional questions for me?
Participants, if you have any question, please unmute yourselves.
I guess there are none. And if anyone clicks a question after the session as well, you can get in contact with us as well as Ravindra sir at any time. So do not worry about that. And I think it was really fascinating to understand the know-hows of this, what Sophia and driverless cars. And no, now we all can understand when Norway implemented the driverless cars, it would have been so difficult for them. So every one of us will try to use these techniques in once their life. And I thank you everyone for being a part of this session. And Sanika, I think you can conclude. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for such informative and insightful session. I would like to thank Mr. Ravindra Pandey for giving his time and efforts out of his schedule to come and grace this occasion. I would also like to thank our teacher Injas for helping us carrying out the event in such a smooth manner. And I would like to thank participants for joining the seminar. You all can leave. The attendance link will be pasted in the WhatsApp group. Thank you all.
Thanks a lot for being with me, and I'm really happy to be part of this group. Thanks a lot. Have a great weekend. Bye. Take care.